Captain Aaron Reed had spent 20 years in the Galactic Defense Force. He had seen planets burn, cities vanish, and soldiers break. He had done his duty for humanity and for the United Federation. When the final treaty was signed and the last enemy surrendered, he thought his life of battle was finally over. Now he lived quietly on a small moon colony near Jupiter. He grew small plants in recycled containers, fed a robotic dog, and spent most evenings watching the stars from his porch. He liked the silence. No alarms, no orders, no screaming radios. Just the hum of the wind and the sound of peace. But peace never lasts long in the galaxy. One evening, as the twin suns dipped below the horizon, a small drone hovered over his house. Its metallic voice crackled. "Captain Aaron Reed, you are requested to rejoin Starfleet Command, Priority Alpha." He stared at it in disbelief. "Retired officers don't get Priority Alpha," he muttered. The drone didn't answer, only projected a blue light that displayed a single word: urgent. Inside his house, the old comm pad blinked to life for the first time in years. A familiar voice came through, rough and tired. "Aaron, it's Admiral Kessler. We've got a situation, something only you can handle." Aaron sighed. "I'm retired, sir." The Admiral paused. "Not anymore." By morning, Aaron was aboard a transport ship headed to Starfleet HQ. The corridors smelled like recycled air and discipline. Everything looked newer, shinier. Except him. He was older, slower, carrying the weight of 1,000 memories. When he reached the command hall, he expected to be handed another suicide mission. Instead, the Admiral smiled faintly. "You're not going to war. Aaron, you're going to train a new pilot." Aaron blinked. "You called me across half the system to babysit a rookie?" "She's not just a rookie," Kessler replied. "She's an alien exchange officer from the Lyra system, and you'll find she's unusual." Aaron didn't like mysteries, but orders were orders. The door slid open, and in walked the strangest sight he had ever seen. She was small, silver-skinned, with glowing violet eyes and hair like soft threads of light. Her uniform looked too big for her, and her tail flicked nervously behind her. "Lieutenant Tlani of Lyra, reporting for duty, sir," she said, her voice light and musical. Aaron froze, then sighed. "I'm not a sir anymore." Her eyes widened. "But Starfleet records say you're a hero of the Orion campaign." "Records also say I'm retired," he muttered. She tilted her head, studying him curiously. "Humans are strange. You fight to protect others, and then hide from what you protected." Aaron didn't know what to say to that. He just walked past her and said, "Come on, rookie, if we're doing this, we do it my way." Over the next few days, Aaron tried to keep things professional. But the rookie was full of questions. Why do humans sleep so much? Why do they laugh when they're nervous? Why do they drink coffee that smells like burnt fuel? Every answer he gave only made her smile brighter. Despite her inexperience, she was a natural pilot. Her reflexes were sharp, her instincts perfect. But her emotions, too curious, too kind, worried him. The galaxy wasn't kind to the innocent. One day, during a flight simulation, an alarm went off. The system detected an unknown ship near the asteroid belt. Aaron grabbed the controls, but Tlani spoke quickly. "Let me handle it, sir." He wanted to protest, but something in her tone made him pause. She moved her hands with precision, rerouted the thrusters, and used gravity from a nearby moon to pull their ship out of danger. When the ship stabilized, Aaron looked at her in shock. "Where did you learn that maneuver?" She smiled shyly. "From watching human combat records, sir. You fight with heart, not just logic." He couldn't help but smile back. Maybe this rookie wasn't just another alien recruit. Maybe she was something more, something the galaxy hadn't seen before. But as he reviewed the data from that encounter, his smile faded. The unknown ship wasn't a smuggler or a pirate. It was an old enemy signal, one that shouldn't exist anymore, and it was locked onto their coordinates. Aaron's heart sank. The war he thought was over had just come back for him. And this time, he wasn't fighting alone. The moment the old enemy signal appeared, Aaron felt something inside him twist. That sound, that coded pulse, was burned into his memory from the war. It belonged to the Varkon Dominion, the species humanity had spent decades fighting. They were supposed to be gone, destroyed, erased from every star map. But the signal on his console said otherwise. Tlani leaned closer, her eyes glowing faintly as she studied the data. This frequency, it feels familiar, she whispered. Aaron turned toward her. Familiar? You've seen this before. She hesitated, her tail coiling tightly around her waist. In our Lyra archives, this pattern appeared near our moons long ago, before contact with humans. That answer didn't sit right with him. Too calm, too rehearsed. He had trained rookies long enough to know when someone was hiding something. The ship drifted silently as they traced the faint signal through the asteroid field. Outside, giant rocks spun in slow motion, light from the nearby star catching their metallic edges. Plani adjusted the scanners, her small fingers dancing gracefully over the controls. For a moment, Aaron forgot she was an alien. She looked almost human in the glow of the cockpit. Then the proximity alarm broke the calm. A shadow moved behind the asteroids, massive and silent. Contact, Aaron barked, taking manual control. The ship engines roared to life as he spun them aside, just as a beam of red light cut through the void where they'd been seconds ago. Plani gasped. That was a Varkon energy signature. Aaron's voice hardened. So they're not extinct after all. He powered up the defensive systems, but the rookie grabbed his arm. No, don't fire. They want you to, she said quickly. Aaron stared at her. And how would you know that? Her glowing eyes dimmed a little. Because the Varkans once tried to contact my people. They said they were looking for you, for humans. Her words hit him like cold metal. Explain, he ordered. Plani looked down, her voice trembling. They said humans woke something ancient when the war ended, something sleeping beneath the galactic core. Aaron didn't believe in myths, but he had seen enough strange things to stay quiet. They escaped the ambush, flying low through the asteroid belt, until they reached an old relay station floating in silence. Inside, dust floated in zero gravity, and the air smelled of rust and burnt circuits. Aaron activated the station lights, while Plani explored the terminal, her delicate fingers brushing the interface. Symbols appeared on the cracked screen, alien symbols mixed with human code. It's a hybrid, she said softly. Someone was merging Varkon technology with Starfleet systems. Aaron's jaw tightened. That's impossible. All Dominion tech was destroyed. But before he could finish, the terminal flickered and played a short message. A distorted human voice echoed. If you're seeing this, the war never ended. The screen went black, and both of them stood in silence. Aaron felt the old fire in his chest again, the instinct that had kept him alive for decades. He turned to Plani. Pack your gear, we're not done here. She looked at him, uncertain but determined. Where are we going? He glanced out the viewport, where distant stars shimmered like ghosts. To find out who sent that message and why they want me back. As they prepared to leave, Plani hesitated at the hatch. Captain, she said quietly, if this threat returns, my people will fight beside yours. Aaron nodded. You'd better learn fast then, rookie, because this time, the galaxy won't get a second chance. The engines roared as the ship pulled away from the dead relay station. Behind them, the darkness seemed to shift. Unseen eyes watched their retreat, and a faint signal pulsed again in the distance, stronger, clearer, and calling Aaron's name. He didn't know yet that this mission wasn't about training a rookie. It was about uncovering the reason the war never truly ended. And the key to that mystery was sitting right beside him, smiling nervously, her glowing eyes hiding secrets she wasn't ready to share. The stars outside the viewport drifted like frozen sparks. Aaron sat in silence, watching them fade one by one as the ship entered deep space warp. Plani sat beside him, her silver skin reflecting the glow of the console lights. For the first time, she looked serious, no curiosity, no questions, just quiet focus. He had seen that look before, on soldiers about to confess something they shouldn't. Spit it out, rookie, he said calmly. Her tail flicked nervously. Captain, there's something I didn't tell you at the station. Aaron folded his arms. I guessed as much. She took a slow breath, her voice trembling. The Varkans didn't die. They hid. They made contact with the Lyra colonies months ago. My people thought they wanted peace. Aaron's eyes narrowed. And what did they want instead? Her glowing eyes turned toward him, filled with guilt. They wanted access to human war archives. He leaned forward, voice low and sharp. Those records are sealed under level Omega security. She nodded sadly. But they already have them. Someone from Starfleet gave them access. Aaron's chest tightened. He knew betrayal when he heard it. For years, he had feared that the war ended too cleanly, too quickly. Now it all made sense. The ship's sensors beeped softly. A small beacon appeared ahead, a derelict human cruiser drifting near a dying sun. Its nameplate was half melted, but Aaron could still read the letters. UFS Valor. He had served on that ship once, long ago. Prepare for docking, he said, his voice heavy. The interior of the cruiser was silent. Broken helmets floated through the air like forgotten ghosts. Plani's bioluminescent eyes lit the dark corridors as they moved deeper inside. The walls were scorched, the air cold. Then they reached the command deck. A single body sat slumped in the captain's chair, skeletal hands still gripping the armrests. Aaron moved closer, brushing off the frost from the old uniform patch. The name read Captain H. Dre, his old commanding officer. But the strange part wasn't the body. It was the data crystal embedded in the console, glowing faintly blue. He pulled it out and activated it. The hologram flickered to life, showing Dre's final message. If you're hearing this, then they've come back. The Varkans aren't our only problem. They've allied with someone from within. A human scientist named Vieira Kane is leading them. She believes merging our tech will create a new species, something above human. Aaron clenched his fists. Dr. Vieira Kane, he knew that name. She had been one of Starfleet's brightest minds during the war, and she had vanished right after the peace treaty. He had assumed she was dead. He was wrong. The hologram ended abruptly, but one last image flickered before disappearing. It showed a symbol, half human, half Varkan, burned into the metal of the command deck. Plani shivered. This is worse than we thought, Captain. Aaron nodded. And it's only beginning. They left the derelict behind, engines roaring softly as they set course back to Federation space. Neither spoke for several minutes. Finally, Plani broke the silence. Captain, if Dr. Kane wants to merge humans and Varkans, what happens to the rest of us? Aaron's voice was cold, steady. Then we stop her before she remakes the galaxy in her image. She looked at him with admiration and a hint of fear. You talk like a soldier again, she whispered. Aaron gave a small, tired smile. Maybe war never truly lets us go, rookie. As the ship sped through the void, another transmission began to flicker across the comms. A female voice, distorted and calm. Welcome back, Captain Reed. I've been waiting for you. Aaron froze. He knew that voice. Dr. Vieira Kane was alive, and she knew exactly where he was. The ship's warning lights flashed crimson, and the navigation system locked by itself. Plani gasped. Someone's taking control of the ship. Aaron reached for manual override, but the controls refused to respond. The voice returned, softer now, almost amused. Let's see how well your adorable little co-pilot handles pressure. Plani's eyes widened as she gripped the console. Captain, she's inside our system. Then get her out, he barked. I'm trying, but her code isn't human. It's something else. The lights flickered, the stars outside twisted, and the ship vanished into a forced warp tunnel. Aaron grabbed the edge of his seat as the hull groaned under pressure. He looked at Plani, young, scared, but determined, and said, Hold on, rookie, whatever happens next, we face it together. And as the stars bent and vanished into black, a single thought burned in his mind. The war was never over, it had only evolved. The stars twisted into ribbons of light as the ship was pulled through the warp tunnel. Aaron fought against the shaking controls, his knuckles white. Plani's fingers moved faster than light over the console, trying to override the forced jump. But the ship didn't respond. It was as if something alive had gripped it, guiding them somewhere beyond known coordinates. When the distortion finally ended, silence fell. They drifted in a dark pocket of space with no stars visible, no signal, no time. Only a massive structure floating ahead, half station, half living creature. It pulsed faintly with blue veins of energy, and strange metallic wings extended from its sides like frozen fins. Plani whispered, I've never seen technology like this. Aaron's voice was low. That's because it's not technology, it's grown. The ship's system flickered, displaying words in mixed code. Welcome home, Captain Reed. Every hair on his neck stood up. Dr. Vieira Kane wasn't just alive, she was waiting. As they approached the structure, small drones emerged from its hull. They were shaped like insects, with glowing red eyes and mechanical wings. One of them attached to their airlock and transmitted docking clearance without request. Aaron frowned. They know our systems better than we do. Plani's tail twitched. Captain, I don't like this place. He glanced at her. Neither do I, rookie, but we're here now. When the airlock opened, a soft mist drifted inside, smelling faintly of ozone and something sweet. The corridors beyond were dim, lined with veins of pulsing light. As they stepped inside, the walls seemed to breathe slowly, expanding and contracting like lungs. Plani shivered. It's alive. Aaron nodded grimly. Half metal, half organism. This must be Kane's experiment. They moved deeper through the passageway, weapons ready. The deeper they went, the more human the walls became. Pipes replaced veins, panels replaced skin, until they reached a large chamber filled with floating pods. Inside each one was a suspended figure. Human soldiers and Varkans fused together. Their bodies glowed faintly, connected by silver filaments that pulsed like a heartbeat. Plani gasped. She's merging them. She's building a new army. Aaron clenched his fists, his voice rough. She's creating monsters. A holographic figure flickered to life at the far end of the room. It was Dr. Vieira Kane, her eyes glowing gold, her smile calm and haunting. Captain Reed, her voice purred. I knew you couldn't resist the call. Aaron raised his weapon. You're insane. Kane, you ended a war only to start a new one. She tilted her head. Not a war. Captain, an evolution. Humanity was limited. Varkans were powerful. Together, we become perfect. Plani stepped forward, her voice shaking with anger. You're destroying life, not improving it. Kane's gaze shifted toward her, curious. Ah, the little Lyra experiment. You were part of my early trials, weren't you? Plani froze, her eyes wide. What do you mean? Kane smiled. You thought your abilities were natural? You were designed. You're living proof that the merger works. Aaron turned to her in shock. Plani, is that true? She shook her head, tears forming. I don't know. Captain, I never asked where I came from. The floor beneath them began to rumble as the pods started to open. One by one, hybrid creatures stepped out, tall, sleek, and glowing with both human strength and alien energy. Kane's voice echoed. These are the future soldiers of the galaxy, loyal to me. But you, Captain, you could lead them. Aaron raised his weapon again. I'll never serve you. Kane's smile didn't fade. Then you'll die fighting progress. Blinding light filled the chamber as the hybrids advanced, their movements precise and silent. Aaron fired, energy bolts tearing through the air. Plani leaped beside him, her body glowing as she unleashed a wave of pure energy from her hands. The blast sent several hybrids crashing back, but more emerged from the shadows. Kane's voice grew cold. You can't stop what's already begun. Aaron grabbed Plani's arm, shouting over the chaos. We're getting out of here now. They ran through the collapsing corridor as alarms blared and lights flickered. Plani's hands sparked with blue energy, sealing doors behind them to slow pursuit. When they finally reached their ship, the outer hull of the station began to shift, massive tendrils extending toward them. Aaron shouted, Punch it, rookie. Plani slammed her palm on the control, and the engines roared to life. The ship blasted free, dodging debris and energy blasts as the monstrous station shrank behind them. For a moment, everything went quiet again. Aaron looked at her, breathless, trembling, yet fierce. You okay? He asked. She nodded slowly, eyes glowing faintly. Captain, she said I was made, is that true? Aaron looked at her with something close to compassion. We'll find the truth, together. Outside, the stars reappeared. Behind them, the living station pulsed once more, like a heart, still beating, still waiting. The stars stretched endlessly before them, cold and silent. Aaron sat in the cockpit, his hands still trembling from the escape. Plani sat beside him, quiet, staring at her glowing hands, the faint blue light pulsing like a heartbeat. Neither spoke for several minutes, the hum of the engines filling the silence. Finally, she whispered, She said I was made. What did she mean? Aaron took a deep breath. It could be a lie. Kane always used words like knives, meant to cut where it hurts. Plani shook her head slowly. But she knew things about me, about Lyra, things no human should know. He turned toward her, his expression softening. You're not a thing, rookie. You're alive. You bleed. You choose. That's what makes you real. She looked at him, her eyes shimmering. Then why do I remember things I never lived? Aaron frowned. Explain. I dream, she said quietly. Of machines whispering, of voices calling me by a number, not a name. Her voice broke slightly. Maybe I was never born at all. Aaron placed a hand gently on her shoulder. You're more human than most I've met. And if Kane created you, she made her biggest mistake, because you're not hers anymore. Plany's lips trembled into a small smile. Thank you, Captain. Before he could reply, the console beeped. An encrypted transmission was trying to connect. Aaron hesitated. It's her again. Plany's fingers danced over the keys, decrypting the signal. But instead of Kane's face, the hologram that appeared was Aaron's, or rather, a younger version of him, wearing a Starfleet research uniform. Project Hybrid Genesis, Log 379. The recording said, Subject T-47 shows stable fusion between human DNA and Varkon energy strands. Emotional responses intact. Recommend full cognitive freedom test. Plany's voice shook. That's my designation, T-47. Aaron froze, staring at his younger self on the screen. He had no memory of this, yet the man in the hologram was undoubtedly him. The same eyes, the same scar on his jaw, the same voice. The recording continued. Captain Aaron Reed assigned as lead overseer by Dr. Vieira Kane. The hologram flickered out, leaving only silence behind. Aaron's breath caught in his throat. Plany whispered, You were there. You helped make me. He shook his head violently. No, I would never. I don't remember this. Her expression was torn between disbelief and hurt. Then why does your face say otherwise? He stared at the console, his reflection staring back, and for a moment, doubt clouded everything he believed. Kane's voice echoed faintly through the comms, distorted and cruel. Now you see, Captain, you weren't retired, you were reactivated. Alarms blared again, pulling them from the shock. An energy pulse erupted behind them. The living station had reawakened, its tendrils reaching across the void. Aaron grabbed the controls, shouting, Hold tight. The ship spun violently as beams of blue light streaked past. Plany's eyes glowed brighter than ever, her voice trembling. She's calling to me. Captain, she's inside my mind. Aaron shouted over the noise. Fight it, rookie. I can't, she cried, clutching her head. She's trying to control me. He reached out, grabbing her hand tightly. Listen to me. You're not her experiment anymore. You're my crew. Something changed then. Her body began to radiate with pure light, a wave of energy bursting outward. The ship trembled, then broke free of the pull, the warp engines reigniting with a thunderous roar. When the stars stabilized again, they were safe, drifting near a small red dwarf system. Plany slumped in her seat, weak but alive. Aaron looked at her, his voice softer now. You saved us. She smiled faintly. Maybe. I just remembered who I want to be. He sat back, exhausted, but something inside him stirred, a fragment of memory. A sterile room, white lights, Kane's voice saying, She'll be perfect, Aaron, she'll save us all. He closed his eyes, his heart heavy. Plany looked up, her voice barely a whisper. Captain, what if you didn't just fight in the war? What if you helped create the reason it started? Aaron's gaze turned distant, the stars reflecting in his eyes. Then I guess it's time I finished what I began. Outside the ship, a faint shimmer appeared, a cloaked fleet awakening in the darkness. Dozens of hybrid vessels emerging one by one. Each carried the same blue glow as Plany's hands. The war Kane promised was no longer coming. It had already begun. The ship floated quietly between the dying stars. Plany slept in the co-pilot's chair, her breathing slow, her silver skin dimmed to a faint glow. Aaron sat beside her, staring at the holographic console that now showed his own face again. Every time he looked at that recording, it felt like the galaxy itself was mocking him. He played the file once more. Captain Aaron Reed, lead overseer, the hologram said, his younger self's voice calm and proud. Human advancement through unity, Project Hybrid Genesis. Aaron's fists tightened. The memory stirred behind his eyes like an itch he couldn't scratch. He remembered something. The scent of sterilized air, the hum of medical machines, and a girl, glowing faintly blue, looking up at him from a glass pod. It wasn't a dream, it was real. He rose from his seat, pacing across the cabin. He whispered to himself, "What did I do? What did we become?" Behind him, Tlani stirred, her voice soft and sleepy. "Captain, are you okay?" He turned to face her, trying to hide the storm inside. "Get some rest, rookie, I just need to think." But she stood up anyway, her eyes glowing faintly in the dark. "You saw more memories, didn't you?" she asked gently. He nodded slowly. "I think. I was there when you were created, but I wasn't like the others. I think I wanted to stop it." She frowned. "Then why can't you remember?" Aaron sat down heavily. "Because Kane erased it. She must have wiped everything from my mind when I refused to continue." The ship's computer beeped softly, a new message appearing on the screen. "Welcome back, Aaron." It said, "Memory restoration in progress." Then pain shot through his head, sharp and burning. He fell to his knees, gripping the chair, flashes of light exploding behind his eyes. He saw Kane again, standing in a lab filled with glowing tanks. "You'll see, Aaron," she said in the memory. "Humanity's evolution needs sacrifice." Then he saw himself arguing, shouting, "You're creating slaves, not saviors." And finally, he saw Tlani, small, fragile, looking up from her containment tube. "Please," his past self whispered, "don't let her wake until she's free." The pain stopped, leaving him gasping. Tlani knelt beside him, her hand glowing as she touched his temple. "What did you see?" she asked. He looked into her violet eyes. "I saw me. I helped bring you to life, but I also tried to save you." Tlani's expression softened, tears gathering in her eyes. "So you didn't betray me?" He shook his head. "No, I betrayed her." The comm system suddenly flared to life, Kane's voice calm and cutting. "Touching. But you're too late, Captain. Project Genesis has already entered its final phase." Aaron stood, glaring at the screen. "You'll never control her, Kane." Kane's hologram appeared, her golden eyes glowing like molten light. "Oh, I don't need to control her," she said with a smirk. "She's the key." Outside the viewport, the hybrid fleet began to move, not attacking, but aligning. Each ship emitted the same faint hum, the same pulse as Tlani's heartbeat. Tlani gasped, clutching her chest. "Captain, they're connected to me. I can feel them." Aaron grabbed her shoulders. "Then fight it. Use it." Her eyes brightened, her hands trembling as she focused. "I can send a signal back," she whispered. "Maybe I can break her hold." Energy rippled through the cockpit, waves of light flowing from her palms into the controls. The ship's systems flared, connecting to the hybrid network. For a moment, thousands of minds screamed inside her head. She bit her lip, whispering, "So many, they're trapped." Aaron stood beside her, placing his hand over hers, steadying her. "Then free them, rookie, all of them." A burst of light exploded from the ship, spreading across the hybrid fleet. One by one, the glowing vessels began to flicker and slow. The red of Kane's control lights dimmed, replaced by soft blue glows of independence. Kane's voice turned furious. "You can't stop evolution." Aaron glared into the hologram. "No, but we can choose what kind of beings we become." With one final surge, Tlani released the signal, collapsing back into her seat, exhausted but smiling faintly. Silence fell again. The hybrid fleet drifted freely now, no longer bound by Kane's command. Aaron looked down at her, his voice quiet and proud. "You did it." Her eyes opened slowly. "Not yet, Captain. She's still out there." Aaron looked into the vast stars beyond, the determination burning bright in his eyes. "Then we finish this," he said softly. The war wasn't over. But for the first time, they weren't fighting for survival. They were fighting for freedom. The stars outside burned red like dying embers. The hybrid fleet drifted silently in formation, newly freed from Kane's control. Inside the command ship, Aaron stood beside Tlani, who was pale but awake, her eyes glowing faintly blue. They both knew it wasn't over. Kane was still out there, somewhere in the darkness. The sensors pinged softly. A massive energy signature appeared at the edge of the system. It was the living station, larger than before, pulsing with light like a beating heart. From its center emerged a colossal ship, part metal, part bone, its surface shifting like liquid flame. Kane's voice echoed through every frequency, calm, almost tender. You freed them. Aaron, how noble. But they still belong to the design. Aaron's jaw tightened. You lost your right to design anything the day you played God. Kane's laughter filled the void. Oh, Captain, you still think this is about power. This is about survival. Humanity is flawed. The Varkans are dying. I gave them a future, and you're standing in its way. Plani's hands trembled as she felt the pulse of the fleet. She's linking again. She's trying to take them back. Aaron turned to her. Then we take her down, once and for all. He looked at her eyes, full of fear and fire, and added softly, whatever happens, we finish this together. Their ship moved ahead of the fleet, diving straight toward Kane's monstrous vessel. Energy beams cut across the darkness, explosions blooming like dying stars. The hybrids followed, defending their new freedom with everything they had. Aaron's voice rang through the comms, strong and steady. This is Captain Reed. To all free vessels, we end this tonight. For every life stolen, for every mind enslaved. Plani's focus deepened, light spreading through her veins. I can reach her core, she whispered, but I'll need to connect directly. Aaron frowned. That'll kill you. She smiled faintly. Maybe, but if I don't, she'll enslave billions more. Before he could stop her, she pressed her hands to the console, and a wave of energy surged outward. The ship screamed under the pressure as light filled every circuit. Through the holographic link, Kane appeared once more, her body half metal now, her voice echoing with distortion. You think love or willpower can undo creation, foolish child. Plani stood tall, her aura bright as a star. You gave me life, but you never gave me purpose. I found that myself. Kane's golden eyes flared. Then you'll die with your human. Energy arced from the monstrous vessel, striking their ship. Panels burst, alarms blared, flames danced along the walls. Aaron pulled her close, shielding her, shouting, Plani, focus. She gritted her teeth, tears glowing like silver drops. I can feel her mind, she whispered. She's everywhere, but if I burn bright enough, I can drown her out. Aaron looked into her eyes, seeing both fear and peace there. Do it, he said softly. You're not just human or Varkan, you're hope. She closed her eyes. A blinding surge of blue-white light burst from her chest, flowing through every wire, every ship, every soul connected to the hybrid network. Across the battlefield, Kane's fleet froze. Then, one by one, her ships began to dissolve, their energy unraveling into starlight. Kane's scream echoed across the void. No, this was my creation. Her vessel cracked apart, shattering into glowing fragments that drifted into silence. Inside the cockpit, the light dimmed. Plani collapsed into Aaron's arms, her glow fading. He held her close, whispering, Stay with me, rookie, you did it. Her lips curved into a faint smile. Captain, look. Outside, the freed hybrids were forming a symbol with their ships, the emblem of unity, half human, half alien, shining against the black sky. She exhaled softly. It's beautiful. Aaron's throat tightened. You made it beautiful. Her hand brushed his cheek, her voice barely audible. Promise me, you'll keep them free. He nodded, tears burning his eyes. I promise. Her glow faded completely, leaving only warmth in his arms. Outside, the last fragments of Kane's ship drifted away like dying stars. The war was over, but the galaxy was forever changed. Later, when the fleet returned home, the Federation recorded the event as the day humanity learned what it truly meant to evolve. Not through power or fear, but through compassion, sacrifice, and the will to protect. And somewhere in the quiet halls of Starfleet, a new ship was christened, TSS Tlani, carrying her name into the stars she had saved. Aaron watched it launch from the observation deck, his voice low but steady. Fair winds, rookie, he whispered. See you among the stars. And for a brief moment, he swore he saw her reflection in the glass, smiling back, glowing softly, like a star that never truly faded.